Good afternoon, this is Sean Golden with Golden & Golden, here to discuss basics of the 2020 FBAR deadline for filing, what you need to know, and some brief tips for filing. So the FBAR is Foreign Bank and Financial Account Reporting, FinCEN Financial Crimes and Enforcement Network, Form 114. Like I like to reiterate, 99% of the time it has nothing to do with criminal, so don't let that word throw you off. Don't let people fearmonger you either. Typically, the FBAR is due on April 15th. It's due the same time that your tax return is due. If you're looking materials up online, you may find some outdated materials that show that it used to be that it was due June 30th, which is when it used to be, but that doesn't apply anymore. It is currently on an automatic extension through October 15th. So what that means is you have until October 15th to file the deadline. You're not if you miss the April 15th deadline, that doesn't mean that you're late. And it's automatic. So that means you don't have to actually file an extension form 4868 or a 7004, anything like that, to get the extension for the FBAR. But what is important is that with FBARs, foreign bank and financial accounts, there are normally other requirements as well. Those days may have, those forms, may have different dates and requirements. If you have the 8938 for FATCA, that's part of your tax return, so you'd have to file the extension for your tax return to get that. Other forms like a 3520-A, which is for foreign trust, that would require that you file an extension form 7004. Lots of different due dates for the different forms, something to keep in mind. FBAR is the only one that's on automatic extension. So some brief important tips when it comes to filing the FBAR. It doesn't need to be perfect. It's not a test. You're not getting graded on it. I can't tell you how many times someone will come to us and say, hey, we have a bunch of accounts overseas, but I couldn't find the information for 2 of them, so I didn't file the form. In fact, on the FBAR, there's a little box you can mark off that says maximum account balance unknown or something along those lines. So the idea is you want to file it timely, you want to use due diligence and be reasonable in your search for the information. Doesn't need to be perfect. It's electronically filed. Back in the day, there was a TD Treasury Department form that you would file by paper. I think ever since maybe 2013, you file it electronically. So it has to be filed electronically. You file it directly on the FinCEN website. One of the most important aspects of the FBAR, it's foreign bank and financial accounts. So you don't have to actually have bank accounts in order to have to file the FBAR. You could have foreign pension accounts. You can have foreign life insurance policies that have a surrender value, investment funds, things of that nature. So it's not limited to bank accounts. That's very important. It's a very common mistake. People come to us and say, hey, I didn't file the FBAR because I didn't have bank accounts. It turns out that they had investment accounts or pension accounts, life insurance, things like that. Another very important aspect of the FBAR is what do you do if you missed it in prior years, okay? This is very important. If you missed it in prior years, you can't just start filing forward now or just mass file your prior FBARs without going through the proper protocols. Otherwise, that's considered what's called a quiet disclosure, and that can lead to some serious penalties. All scaremongering, fear-mongering aside, if the IRS catches you in a quiet disclosure, knowingly trying to avoid going through one of the proper amnesty programs, that could lead to some serious consequences, okay? Before you file the current year, if you can, unless you didn't learn that you're supposed to go back and do it until after, if you're non-willful, that's fine. But there's various programs that you can do in order to get into compliance. There's the delinquency procedures if all you have is the FBAR, delinquent FBAR submission procedures, the delinquent international information return submission procedures, if you have more than just the FBAR. The rules have changed for that program ever since November 2020. If all you have is the FBAR, for the most part, you should be able to escape penalties without issue. There's the streamlined filing compliance procedures, streamlined domestic, streamlined foreign, and then there's reasonable cause. You should always try to avoid the quiet disclosure. That's very important. If you did it by accident, you can always resolve it. It's the intent. If there was an intent to knowingly avoid the penalty structure and things like that, that's where it becomes an issue. We have lots of free information on our main website, goldenlawyers.com. We have a bunch of sub-websites, including a website devoted exclusively to FBAR. You can always reach out and schedule a reduced fee initial consultation if you think it's appropriate. Again, my name is Sean Golden with Golden & Golden. Thank you for your time. Enjoy the rest of your day.